All right. I believe I'm recording. Um, so, hello. Hey, Donik, I've been thinking of sending you a message, so I thought I'd do this today. I'm learning how to use this new stuff, new technology. When I'm in the Amazon, I'm going to pack minimal, so I won't be taking my laptop, but I want to take some video and I'll take photos and edit when I come back. So I have a tripod for my iPhone, and then I have a software that I have not been able to get working. Worked on it a couple hours over the weekend, and so now, cross my fingers. Um, I have this ability to use my iPhone, but to control the camera from here. So I'm testing that. A moment ago, I made a video that sounded a lot like, because the microphone wasn't connected. And then I had this video with, yeah, about right here, there was this big bar right across my face. And I'm like, where did that come from? And I had put the mounting bracket on the iPhone over the camera. Uh, so I thought I'd do two things. I wanted just to say hello to you. I hope you're doing great. Be patient with the journey. Um, Things always work out. Just keep remembering that. And there's always a gift. You know, every kind of situation we find ourselves in life, there's a gift. It may take a while to see it. But, I've been in similar places where you are, where, maybe worse than you. I just had no idea what to do. I had my doctorate. I loved teaching. I hated the politics. And I knew if I stayed there, I was going to die. So I just decided to leave and had no idea what I was going to get into. And then staying patient and present, that's the thing in the human body. The mind gets so active, and what the mind priority is, it wants to control, it wants to manage, it wants to minimize, it wants to be in charge of everything. And the mind is much better to serve the intuition than to try to control. So if you can find a way to just kind of drop into your heart energy, like one of those videos talks about, just get centered, get grounded, get quiet, um, listen to the moment, and put your brain and your mind into receiving mode, then all kinds of interesting things will show up for you. It's like for me, this trip to the Amazon. There's a company down there. I'll be 5 days in a canoe in a remote park. No motorized traffic allowed, and there's lots of tour companies. And I look at those now because of my experience. And some of those are just like they're commercial. Some of them are based in, I don't know, Dallas or Lima or someplace else. And so I found a couple of companies that were located right in the area where Pacaya Samiria Reserve is. And I wrote to them with some questions. And one company I'd found down there was like, really, you have to do this in their answers, which make me accommodate them. I'm traveling 1,000 miles or a couple thousand miles and spend a lot of money to get there. So I'm not really interested in organizing my trip the way that makes them comfortable, unless I have to. So the second company I wrote to, and it turns out it's an association that was formed 20 years ago of guides and communities and people who really want to serve and protect and educate. So I wrote to this company and immediately heard back from I'll call her Marita because I'm not remembering the name exactly. And she's like, if you have any questions, and so she's writing Spanish because she doesn't do English. So we're translating. And I get the sense that there is no itinerary, that we'll just figure out a time that I can get there. And once I arrive, then we'll come up with the plan for the trip. And so, a lot of pieces to this story. I wrote to her and asked her about the rubber jungle boots because you have to have those down there. And being a big guy, I have large feet. They don't have those. But you told me where to shop for them in Tarapoto. So then it's such a small village, I couldn't find any way to connect with. There's hostels there and a couple small family style hotels, but I couldn't find any way to connect and make a booking. So, I asked her about that. And I said, I don't know how to do this. And so she wrote back and she said, we would be happy to have you as our guest in our home for no charge the night before our tour. And so I have little things like that all along the way. They're just falling into place. And it would be easy with traveling and planning to get so mental and try to control and plan everything, which if you look at any travel groups for any country on Facebook, whether it's Costa Rica, which is, extremely safe and commercial and expensive and Americanized, or Peru, people put up their itineraries and they want foreigners that they don't know or strangers that they don't know to offer them advice on the quality of their itinerary, which is just loco. So, I just wanted to reach out and say hi. I know it sounds like you're going through a challenging time, but everything's going to be all right. So the other piece for me, I keep flashing back to when I left teaching at the University of Louisville decades ago. Yeah, I love teaching. I love my students. My classes filled up because people told their friends about my class. And I remember Katsumi telling me that he had friends coming from business, psychology, wherever, economics, education. And he told them it's not easy. You're going to work hard, but you're going to learn something. And I was just flattered by that kind of recommendation. But my colleagues were annoyed with me because I was learning how to teach the students to ask questions and get involved in the learning, and they didn't like that. So when I packed up my third year there, I just was drawn. I actually bought a touring bike. I was going to go tour Europe and have panniers and everything. And then it dawned on me, it's like, I haven't seen much of America. So I'm getting ready to leave Louisville and go travel, put everything in storage. I was going to put everything in storage, and eventually took my camping gear, my bicycle, some favorite books, journal, my cooking gear, and headed out in my Subaru to go travel around the country ultimately for about 15 months. Before I left, two things crossed my mind, and one of them was something I had found in research and helping students and helping people in general. There's two kinds of motivation. One type of motivation is you're really inspired to move toward what you want. The other type of motivation is people desperately trying to get away from what they don't like. And if you're focused on what you don't like, no matter where you go, you're dragging that with you. So for me, when I was getting ready to travel, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Which one of those two am I doing? Am I getting away from here because it's just, I couldn't have a real conversation with the faculty member. My best friends are my students, and, we camped and did things together. And it's like, what am I moving toward? So I got really clear on what I wanted, what I was moving toward, what my priority was. And the second thing that stood out that I've heard before, but I finally understood in a deeper way, Socrates, wherever you go, there you are. So there's no there that's going to change you if you're bringing you into the there. So that got me to think about, okay, well, how do I learn to be more comfortable with me, more patient with me, more present in the moment with me? There's another saying I learned years ago about, one of the steps in improving your life is to learn how to grow where you're planted. You don't have to stay there. So I'm like, well, what is it about me that I'm not wanting to avoid, and I'm wanting to get clear, and I'm wanting to be more comfortable with myself anywhere. And of course, I had no idea what was going to happen and what I was going to learn by traveling in the United States by myself, living out of a Subaru. I stayed in a hotel twice, I think, in the first 12 months. It did a vision quest with Sun Bear, interviewed people all across America, and drove down into the Baja, California. So, but the guiding principle for me, those two things, you're going to move away from something you don't want or move towards something you do want, which, by the way, people that I've known over the years, including a former housemate that came through here recently, he's still doing career counseling. And it's still true to this day that the majority of his clients are crystal clear what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want, so. And when I work with that now, I don't work with it with details because, details aren't going to satisfy me, but the sense of fulfillment, the sense of comfort, sense of meaningful existence, sense of meaningful, rich connection, sense of having lovely daily surprises. What I do want is now more of a vibrational, energetic thing than it was used like a physical thing. So here I am on my patio, sipping myself a great little coffee this morning. Just had chocolate chip pancakes with pecans, testing my camera gear, and I have no idea if any of this is working. So we're about to find out. So take care of yourself. Let me know if there's anything I can do to support you from here. Ciao.